Hello and welcome back to Blue Tube. So today we're kind of going to just roll them both into one. You can treat this as a Shrewsbury post-match. The less time spent on that, the better. And then we're also going to look ahead to our game on Tuesday night against Exeter City at St James Park. First of all, may as well go on to Shrewsbury.
Yeah, Shrewsbury, we lost. Anyway, what about Exeter then?
Let's break it down a little bit though. It wasn't a good, it was probably one of our, outside of potentially our game against Walsall in the Bristol Street Motors Cup at St Andrews earlier on this year. You might disagree with me. I think that was slightly worse in this performance, but it was still pretty bad, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was, to be fair. And if you remember, like on the preview, I was teetering between, getting a draw because I knew they'd be well up for it. And like I say, my head was saying one thing, my heart was saying another. But before the match, as the game was starting, I started to get and I haven't had many pre-match nerves this season, especially because of how well things have gone. But I was getting them. I mentioned it to someone the other day. I was on with the boy in blue.
Yeah, shout out to the boy in blue,
thanks.
Jay.
That was a cracking evening with Chatting Blues as well, Nick and Jay. So really good. Really suggest going and watching them. Brilliantly run channels. And I was saying to them, getting the pre-match nerves, and just had that feeling that things could go wrong. And boy, was I right.
I was the opposite. I thought we had that result against Northampton, and I just thought, I'm going to see a response here. They had some time, the international duty came in. Chris Davis has some time with the players to really impose his thinking on them and how to be better and how to respond than the team that we've got. I really thought that we would see that against Shrewsbury, new manager or not. But you know what? And I want to say this and get this out of the way now. It's just made me think. The new manager bounce, all this. Gary Ainsworth coming to Shrewsbury. Full credit to Shrewsbury, fair play to you. You brought it to us, you battled, you fought for you won them all, aerial battles, duels, challenges, you were first there every single time. Your fans really played the part as well as 12th man, so credit to them where it's due. You deserve to win the game. That's it, I'm done with that now, move on. Birmingham, I was so incredibly disappointed. I feel as though the team looked as if they've never played with each other before. I think going forward, again, it's that problem. When we get into the attacking third, it's like we've run out of energy and steam and ideas. There's no creativity, no flair, nothing seems to be happening. And it looks to me as if there's a problem in the chemistry, like something sort of dropped. Like I say, it seems as if they look like they haven't played with each other before. It's quite worrying.
You okay? You got that off your chest now?
Yeah, I needed to, I think, yeah.
Yeah, to be fair. Do you know what? The one thing that I'd add to what you've just said, though, is they just had the passion.
Complacency.
When you see none of our players were up for it, were they?
Complacency. I think we went there and we just thought, oh, do you know what? We've done this before.
Yeah.
Done it in a friendly before the season even started. We've done it in that Tin Pot Cup that we're going to lift in a few months.
You'll love, if we win.
They're bottom of the league. They're on their knees. They've just had a new manager come in. He's from Black Sabbath. Don't know what he's doing here. He must have turned off the motorway at the wrong exit. We'll be fine. We'll go there and we'll batter them. We got shown up.
Do you know what though, Ben? We probably, and this might sound really daft, but in a way we might need that. Bring us back down to earth.
I only disagree with you because we would have thought that with Charlton. We would have thought that with Mansfield. We would have thought that with Northampton. It hasn't happened, has it?
I'm on about from a playing and players' point of view. If they have gone with complacency, what better bring me down to earth than something like that? So we move on. We literally... It's a must-win next game now, which is a tough game away at Exeter.
Yeah.
Midweek game with the winter setting in. It's going to be tough. Chris Davis looked bereft the other day, so I'd like to think he's going to stick a rocket up the backsides of the Blues players.
Yeah.
Come Tuesday night. We need to get back behind them.
Yeah.
We're picking out players. People were calling for the manager's head the other day, Chris Davis.
Oh yeah, people can be silly, can't they?
Yeah, and it's a knee-jerk reaction, isn't it? It's just like a quick response. And like I said the other night, people, probably sit down and have a little think about what they've said. I'd like to think. But, no, we move on. Let's get past it quickly. Kudos to Shrewsbury, but we know what we're capable of. I think that's the worst of it. And like we've said a lot, that we've got those players, we've got goal scorers, we've got match winners, we've got playmakers, we've got everything we need in that team. It's just that I think the setup's a little bit wrong at the moment. We've been crying out for positions that we've been mentioning every time we say what the lineup's going to be.
You need a set piece coach.
Hasn't happened, maybe. But even before that, play the players where they are suited. Willemsen's not a right-sided player for me. He needs to be the number 10 position. We can keep crying out for this. It doesn't matter what we say at the end of the day, though. We can wish that it's going to happen. It doesn't mean it will happen. But I'm just hoping that I might be wrong. We might end up playing in there and it all goes wrong again. And then I'll be the first one to put my hands up and say, okay, that doesn't work. What's next? But we've got to give it a go, because when Willemsen came in, he told us he was a number 10. And he hasn't really played it. But when he does play, when he's played on the right-hand side, naturally he keeps wanting to come in. And when he does come into the middle, we see him slotting those little one-off balls through to Stansfield, through to whoever's there, May, and we scored off them. And when he's not there, it's almost like we're playing two strikers that are imposing on each other too much. I mean, it sounds too simplistic the way I'm discussing this now, but that's what I think we need to do. And Jay Stansfield, great player, he needs that room. He gave himself one opportunity against Shrewsbury in the second half, where he turned the guy. He had a couple of yards around him, and unfortunately couldn't get the ball off the floor straight to the keeper.
It's a threat, though.
It was a good save, actually.
Didn't get a touch until 20 minutes in, did he, the other day? And
Yeah.
that just is not good enough at all.
No,
You
that's
talk about having
absolutely
Willemsen playing through the 10. I think we've got so many problems. I was going to touch on another player, and I'm not about to, just slag off players just for the sake of it. Don't think there's any space for that anyway. It's not. I just think it's gratuitous, really. But I think that there needs to be a conversation had around our right back, Laird. Now, I love Laird. I think he's brilliant. But if you're going to commit a player to attacking and pushing up the pitch, then it better be worth it. And I'm starting to wonder whether it is. We've said it before on this channel about Laird's delivery, and it's not quite there. Now, if you're going to have a player pushing that high up the pitch, leaving us vulnerable at the back, he better deliver something, and he's not doing that at the moment. I said on the preview for the Shrewsbury game that I felt really bad for Taylor Gardner-Hickman, because I don't think that he dropped in form at all, and it was sort of just shepherded out because Laird was back in the fold. I think it would be a bright idea if we see him back and see how he fares, because I can't see the benefit that Laird's bringing at the moment.
Playing devil's advocate, we missed Laird when Gardner-Hickman first came in. If you remember me saying to you, he was growing into the position, but there were a few little mistakes there. But then he really grew into the position, and when Laird was fit, he came back in. Well, I think that's happening again now. Laird's having to grow back into the role. But I was going to take it a step further. When you're playing a wing-back position, you can't cover goal line to goal line like they're expected to. You need those overlapping runs and coverage. In order to do that, you need a player like Scott Wright, who's out injured at the moment, who's a right winger and can compensate. You can overlap each other, cover each other. When one goes into attack, the other one covers and comes back to defend a little bit, or you attack together, and you've got that energy there. When you've got a Willemsen playing on the right-hand side, you're not playing that overlapping game, because Willemsen's not a forward and back man. Willemsen is a left and right man. So if he's playing on the right, he's leaving such a lot of space. If you look, the space left. And then Laird, being on his own, is expected to cover that whole area then. Whereas if we've got a naturally right-sided player, I might be totally talking off the top of my head here, but this is how I see it.
That's a good point.
When you've got a right-sided player like Wright, like whoever, even Stansfield, I think, could do it. Someone said the other day, has he got the energy levels? Yes, he has. Play Stansfield on the right, and they will compensate each other and give you that coverage. And then you've got your middleman that stays in the middle, good on his feet, good in the air to a certain extent, although he admits himself it's one of his weaknesses, Willemsen. Give it a go. Come on, Chris Davis. All the fans are calling for it. Give it a go.
I still think that there's an issue, though. You make a really, really good point there, and it was well thought out. But if you look at the first goal, Laird, he loses his man at the back post, plays it across the box. It's just an easy finish. They're in acres of space, and that is an exact copy of
He's
a
got
goal.
form for that. Yeah, you
An
pointed that out to
exact
me.
copy of a goal, and forgive me, I'm sure that you guys can remember a goal last season. Exact position where the free kick was, whipped into the box. Laird loses his man at the back post. They header it back across goal for another player, and it's just a simple
Carbon
tap
copy of
in.
that. I can't remember who it was against, but I remember. Yeah, he's just grounded, isn't he? Ball's going
And
to the air, he's
those
grounded.
are the absolute basics. Now, I don't want it to come across as though I am like slandering Laird here, because that's not the purpose. But I'm only responding to what I'm seeing on the pitch, and it's not good enough. And I still think that Taylor Gardner-Hickman's a good player, and I'd like to see him back in the fold to see what he can do differently. Outside of that, though, I agree with what you're saying about Williamson in a 10. But also, and this is like your bread and butter here, because you've been speaking about it for a while now. What has Alfie May got to do to get in the starting lineup?
If the league top scorer is sat on the bench, you better have a bit of a niggle. Otherwise, he's starting for me.
Why do you think he's not?
It's only going to be speculation. There's going to be a good reason behind it, and like I said, I'd love to have a pint with Chris Davies and be candid and say, why isn't he getting a start? For me, May starts until he's tired. Because he's proven goal scorer. When we started the season, he was scoring every game.
Yeah.
Stansfield comes in, he makes way for him, and I'd have Stansfield in every time, to be honest with you, but if you've got May in there, he needs to fight for his place, or you need to find a way of putting them together.
Yeah.
And for me, one of them can go out wide, put them out wide, and that's Stansfield. And I'm repeating myself again, but that's what I think we need to do. But I wanted to ask you on your thoughts of how Keishi Anderson played and what went down with him coming off
Going
after
off at half an hour. Well, he had that challenge that was,
Led to their goal.
dangerous. It was silly.
It was naive, I think. I mean, he was ball watching. He was watching the ball in the air.
I know, but
Collided
still.
with the guy. It was reckless.
It was reckless, yeah.
And he could have gone off for that. Some refs would have sent him off for that. And I think the referee had a good game, to be fair.
I think that's got to be the main reason of taking Keishi Anderson off.
That's what I was going to ask.
I don't think that there was anything outstanding that would have gone, oh my God, he's having an absolute nightmare, get him off now.
A dead leg was mentioned.
Right, is that right? Because
I heard that.
Yeah.
I can't remember where I heard it. I read it, I think. One of the online write-ups.
We can go on all day about things that went wrong for us against Shrewsbury. That's pulling silly faces. But because there's two items on the agenda in this video, I reckon we just get right into the Exeter game.
Yeah, I think we've got to... Do you know, is it a saving grace, or is it a saving grace that we've got such a quick game coming? You know, Saturday, we got Sunday, Monday.
We've got the reverse of it now, haven't we? Because we had that game against Northampton and we had an age to go over it, and then this is the result.
Yeah.
And now we've got a quick turnaround.
But if you're Chris Davies, if you're a Blues fan as we are, and if you're a Blues player, you want to get out there and put it right, don't you?
So at time of recording, this is really late. We'll have kicked off by now in 24 hours. Let's get the form table out just quickly, because we've made some notes based on this game.
While you're doing that, I was watching their manager.
Gary Caldwell.
Yeah, old Scottish player, isn't he? He was a good player from what I remember. If it's the one I think it is. And he was giving Blues the kudos again, saying, you know, best team in the league, and, you know, a bit like what Chris Davies does. But he's no mug. He knows that there's a way around us, and he admitted that. He said Shrewsbury did it right, but he put it down to the new manager bounce and just a bit of passion. But they've got a couple of little niggles, he was saying, but nothing too bad in the way of player injury. So they're bringing in quite a full fit team that are eager to get points on the board after a loss the weekend. I think they lost to Wrexham, didn't they?
Yeah,
but they actually
right.
played well against Wrexham. It didn't sound like I think they lost 3-0. But they had plenty of chances, just weren't taking with them. I think they've got a Northern Irish international as well. McGuinness or something, McGennell or something like that.
I've put some of their key players down here, but yeah, with the form table, we've both lost our last game, as you've just pointed out. They lost to Wrexham. And then, same as us, they drew the one before that against Lincoln, but they beat Charlton, beat Barnet in the FA Cup, a 5-3. What a whopper that was. And Bristol Rovers 3-2 away. So, I mean, all in all, they've won 3 out of their last 6, lost 2, drawn 1. And our form's not looking very positive at the moment either. We've won 3 of our last 6, drawn 2, and then obviously we've lost the one against Shrewsbury. Our head-to-head history, just for a little bit of trivia, I'm following your little...
Yeah, I like this.
We've won 6 times, they've won 3, and we've drawn 2. And our last game, have a guess when we last played Exeter City.
Oh, crikey.
I'll give you a hint.
Decade ago.
I'll give you a hint. It was before I was born. Sorry, no, it was actually just not too long after I was
We
born.
haven't told him how old he is yet.
Remember who's editing these?
1998.
After I was born. You don't know when your own son was born, do you?
Well, you said before, and then you waffled for a bit. 2001.
24th of August 1999 was the last time we played Exeter.
So the summer of when your first year, your first summer.
You got that out eventually, didn't you?
Yeah. Do you remember it?
Yeah. So it's been a little bit of time, you know.
What was the score?
We won that one 2-1. What do you think? What's that telling you?
Well, I don't like the balances because they owe us a couple.
You keep saying that. You said that for Charlton, and look what happened.
Well, I said it with Shrewsbury as well.
And you've said it again. It's his fault.
Who's the ref?
I haven't done the ref.
No,
I haven't done the ref. So looking at the table as well, we're 4th, 30 points. They're 11th with 23 points. Just having a look here. Yeah, obviously we've won 9 and they've won, where are they? 7. So, I mean, this stage of the season, I suppose, over a quarter of the way through now, how much do we read into the table at this point, really?
Nothing yet.
No.
As long as we're up there at the moment. This league is so open, really, at the moment, isn't it?
Do you know what I'm really gutted about? We've got no right to sing We're In For A Shock anymore. Don't know.
Well, we've had a minor startling, haven't we? So
it's an annoyance, is what we've had.
Yeah.
We've had an annoyance.
Let's not lose our heads because we've got players to come back in. We've got some talent. It's been a bit of a rubbish few weeks.
Who do you think we're missing then? What player is out at the moment that you think, we could really do with having them back?
I'd like to see Scott Wright come back in.
Just thinking that,
And I'd like to see Yokoyama start, but we'll get to the, like who I think should play again, because it doesn't matter what we say, because Chris Davis is listening to us and he's deliberately going against what we suggest, isn't it?
Well, do you know what? Would you know what fans are starting to say now?
He's a Villa fan, and he's just like doing a bit of a backdoor stuff and trying to take us down.
Bring Ben Davis back in.
Yeah, well, I did say this. I asked that question weeks ago. Does Bielik walk straight back into the squad, or does he have to earn his place? And I was playing devil's advocate again, really, saying he was playing too well to take him out of the game. What does that do to the players around him? It's not just
he was out
on the day, it's the players around him as well.
Against Northampton, he gets a little bit more of a sickener because Sanderson obviously made that mistake. Ben Davis would have been on that subs bench, but he was ill, wasn't he? Anyway, so on to some of Exeter's players, the top scorers at the moment, and they come from loan players, quite young, 19 and 20 years old, and one of them's a central midfielder who goes by the name Cammy Doyle. They're on loan from Southampton, and they've got 4 goals in all competitions, 3 in the league. But their top-rated player, the player that's given the most credit on FootMob, is a Joe Whitworth, who's 20. It's their keeper. And he's on loan from Crystal Palace. He's got a 78% save percentage. He started 15 games.
No chance of scoring then tomorrow.
Started 15 games and kept 9 clean sheets, conceding only 13 goals. So they've got an absolute wonder kid in between the sticks by the looks of things, who's pretty determined. And any team that faces us now, it's like we're the team to beat, aren't we?
Yeah.
So they're all going to be well up for it. And speaking of players that are going to be well up for it, they've got a former Blues player, another midfielder, Ryan Woods, who was here for about 5 minutes, gingerhead fella. I wouldn't blame if you don't remember.
He went abroad, Didn't he get to Turkey at one time? Or am I thinking of someone else?
Are you thinking of that player who's just left?
Possibly.
What was his name? Came from Sunderland.
Came from Stoke. Oh no, that's on. Ryan Woods was from Stoke, but left last
No, he
season.
came from Hull.
Did he?
He came from Hull.
Who am I thinking of? The one that went to Turkey?
A player just went from Turkey. Sunderland. He played for Sunderland, and I can't think of his name. It's going to do me head in now. Thanks.
In the comments.
Yeah, I know, but I want to know now.
Someone will help us out.
Mowbray brought him in. Do you know what? I can't be
Yes.
bothered. Right. Just move on. So,
Getting old, I am. What's your excuse?
losing my mind. An interesting fact. Once again, I'm following your little structure here, and this is quite a good one. So interesting. Brazil versus Exeter City FC was the first match involving the Brazil national football team. The first game of football Brazil as a nation played was against Exeter City.
Give me more.
The match was part of the Exeter.
Really?
I'll start again. The match was part of the Exeter City tour of South America, where the team played against Argentine and Brazilian teams, just like other British clubs, toured before and after during the first years of football in the region. It was played in 1914, and Brazil won the game 2-0. It was funny. They went all over South America, as I just described. They went to Argentina as well, and they did really well in Argentina. Played the Argentine national team as well, and that was 0-0. But the newspapers in Argentina were allegedly left disappointed with Exeter's performances during the tour, with Tribuna. Not too sure what that is or what
Sounds
that's
like a
referring to.
newspaper.
Must be. Described them as the most mediocre team of professionals sent out by the FA from the home of football. Sounds like they were just bitter, really, with how
Very
well they
bitter,
did.
yeah.
I would have gone more into that and got some of the results from some of the other teams, but I didn't see it to be too necessary. I think the whole nugget of that is Brazil's first ever match that they played was against Exeter. And another one which is more close to home for Blues, and more in particularly Jay Stansfield. He's an Exeter boy, an Exeter fan. I think we knew that from his first game against Plymouth, with how delighted he was to score that winner for us on his, was it his debut? Was it Jay Stansfield's debut when he came on against Plymouth and he scored?
Yes.
Yeah.
Wonder goal.
And,
One of my favourite goals, that is.
Yeah, and his late dad,
Modern days.
of course, passed away now, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Played for Exeter, and he wore the number 9 shirt.
Adam Stansfield, isn't it? I'm sure it's the Adam Stansfield Foundation, which is a charity.
Yeah, I think you might be correct.
On that side of things, they do like selling off memorabilia, shirts and things like that. So,
and raising money.
And I follow them on Facebook actually, and it's a cracking cause.
Yeah, it's really, really good.
Because he died young, his dad did, so, and he was a great player. Loved down in Exeter.
Well, it's actually a really wonderful story, because he went on loan at Exeter not too long ago, and they retired the shirt, the number 9 shirt, after his dad passed, obviously to honour his memory, and his son came up through the ranks, went back to Exeter, and they brought the number 9 shirt back for Stansfield, and on his very last game for the club, he scored a hat-trick. An incredible game, really emotional. It's going to be an emotional one for Jay.
Gary Caldwell has said on his interview that he's going to get a great response from the Exeter fans.
Oh, and you'd like to imagine
the sort of thing that Blues would do for any returning players for us as well, really.
Absolutely, yeah.
So fair play to them. And any Blues fans going down there, join in with it, because it's great. And then we'll stonk them.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. It's going to be an emotional one for Jay, but with how much of a professional he is, it's not going to get in the way of his performance.
Like if it is a bit tight towards the end, and then Jay goes up and scores the winner. Don't moan if he doesn't celebrate. Don't expect him to be fair.
I don't think anyone could.
But I'd love it if he did. It's only football.
Well, that being said, I think that almost draws our video to a close. The last thing that I want from you, though, is predictions. How do you think this one will fare?
Oh, God.
And let's be a little bit more careful, let's say, with this one, because we're not the team that we think we are. We're certainly not Galacticos anymore.
Along the thinking that it's a must-win.
We have to get a result.
Nothing else matters. 2-0 Blues. I think Chris Davies is going to want an absolute pristine sheet. He wants a clean sheet, and he wants a couple of goals. So I'm going to say 2-0. You don't want scorers, do you?
Yeah.
Stansfield.
Okay, that's a good shout.
Willemsen.
Okay.
That's it.
1-0. I think he's going to change things up. I think Ben Davies is going to come in for Bielik. We haven't even done a lineup, so now I want something else from you. We'll do that in a second. Yeah, I'll save that for a second, actually. You can tell this is going well, can't you? I think it's going to be 1-0. I think Yokoyama's going to be involved, and I think he's going to score for us. I don't think it's going to be an easy game. I don't think this is going to be the performance that we want either. I think it's going to be scrappy. I think Exeter are going to treat us just as the Mansfield, Northamptons, just like anyone is. They're going to be absolutely raring to go. They're going to give us 110%. They're going to treat us like we're Man
Cup
City.
game.
Yeah,
FA
cup
Cup
final. That's exactly how it's going to go. And we're going to be under the cosh. But I think our quality is going to come through this time. Like you say, Chris Davis is going to give him a bit of a rocket up the backside, and that will carry us over the line. A bit of magic from Yokoyama, 1-0. I mean, do you remember when we had the problem with the goalkeeper, and we thought, everything else is so brilliant, and now we've got all of these issues that have come to the fore that we need to deal with.
But I'm hoping that as quickly as these problems have come along, I'm hoping that they'll disappear as quickly as well. We mentioned the word blip the other night on that podcast, and it was mentioned a few times. So let's just hope this is a blip. We can put it right on Tuesday. Because let's face it, if we go and get a 3-0 win tomorrow night, the weekend looks totally different coming up ahead, doesn't? Yeah, coming ahead. So let's just be positive and just get behind the team. That's all we can do.
It's one of those. I'm inclined to tell you here that I'd swap this player out for that one, bring this player in for this one, change this player's position for over there. But I'm also thinking, how much do you want to switch it around and get the players used to a new system?
Well, it's not. For me, it's just putting those players into their best positions.
Okay, with that being said then, get Laird out, put Taylor Gardner-Hickman in, I'd get Bielik out, I'd put Ben Davis in, see how he plays. Cochrane and Clara stay the exact same.
These players are great players on their day, aren't they?
Do you know, yeah, of course they are, but so's Ben Davis on his day, so's Taylor Gardner-Hickman, as he's proven. Now, Paik and Iwata.
They had poor, very average games the other day.
They do have average games.
We're stepping all over the place here. Is it not out of your system yet?
No. It's not that it's not out of my system, but I'm thinking about giving the players... Leonard I've spoke about a few times over the weeks and giving him a chance. Now, I don't know what episode it was, a few weeks ago. Because of the run of games that we've got coming up going into the new year, we are going to have to rotate the squad. We've only had a game a couple of days ago. A few players will need to naturally be rotated, lest we want some more injuries. I think take out Paik, give Leonard a start, see what he can do. He's a box-to-box player. He doesn't stop running. He's full of energy. Against a dogged team like Exeter, most teams in League One dogged, to be honest. I think he could shine in this game.
They're very attack-focused.
Bring him on and go for it. Anderson, I would leave out and give Yokoyama a go. I've been crying out for that for ages. Williamson, I don't think you can drop him. I think he's too much quality to leave out. Put him in the 10 position.
Put him in his natural position.
Number 10, I totally agree with that, and I think all Blues fans agree. They agree on these three things. Williamson as a 10, Jay Stansfield on the right-hand side, and Alfie May up front. And if you need to, you can bring on Lyndon Dykes towards the latter stages of the game to hold up the play. That's what I'd go for.
I wouldn't disagree with that.
Any other changes?
Wouldn't disagree. No, I wouldn't change anything else. You've got to be so careful with changing things about anyway.
That's what I'm thinking.
You're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. Because if you change things up to what the fans are asking
and
for,
it doesn't
all
work.
goes wrong.
What are you doing that for? Yeah, well, that is football, isn't it? And I think we can draw it to a close. Fickle. Any final words for you? Sound like you're on death row when I say that.
I'll have a steak and chips, please, before you put the electric shock through me.
Okay, excellent. With that being said, guys, let us know your thoughts on both the Shrewsbury game and how we're going to get on at Exeter. Of course, it wasn't the result that we wanted, but all we can do is carry on, can't we, and keep right on, as they do say. And we know it all too well, don't we, Dad? Through the joys and sorrows. Take care, guys. Thanks for watching, as always. See you on the next one.